which is now on. So we've already gotten a lot of messages this morning about consciousness. Love being a decision, the decision to be awake, to be conscious in the present moment is a decision. And it's a decision that we get to make over and 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 then over and over and over, and then we continue over and over again. And we got instructions during the meditation in terms of my understanding of it, following the path of our breath, and how it is easier sometimes when the instruction is given from outside. We hear someone's voice. Close your eyes, focus on your breath. Inhale through your nose, follow the path of your breath. Exhale through your mouth. Having the instructions, but we don't always have someone around to wake us up. And for me, being conscious is really wake-up work. And so, for those of you whose mind might be wandering right now, did she bring something for us? Didn't she bring something for us? Yeah, I bet she did. I know she did because I saw her downstairs. Well, guess what? I brought something for you. And if by any chance there aren't enough, and I have some for the middle as well. If by any chance there aren't enough, because these are much bigger than I thought, I have more in the back and I'll give them to you later. And I apologize, but I was so happy today because I found these small little containers downstairs, little cups. And usually my charms are very little. And I was so excited, and then the charms arrived. Because thank you, Myers, for receiving them here so they weren't in my mailbox in North Carolina and I was here. And so I thought a lot about this. This is the first time this topic is one of the monthly topics. So as soon as I was asked, was it okay to speak on consciousness, here's what popped into my mind. In 1980, when I started my entrepreneurial venture, I was doing something called organization development. And people, I'd meet people and say, what do you do? Well, I do organization development. And their eyes would kind of glaze over. What's that? And I'd say, noticing that the eyes had glazed over, do you have any idea what that means? And brave people would say, no, I don't have a clue. Someone who didn't want to seem stupid would nod and hope I didn't ask anything else. And I just know that reaction because it's one that I had, not to the words organization development, but to many other things when I didn't want to seem as though I hadn't seen an important movie or read an important book. I'd say to them, well, here's what I do. I do wake-up work with people who died on the job. And it's people who died on the job within their business settings, and also for people who died on the job of living. And what I mean by that is just go over and over and over again, doing what we've always done, whether or not it serves our true heart's desire. But we do it because it is the path of least resistance. It's the easiest to do simply because our brain has been trained to do it over and over and over again. So it might be an experience, you may have had an experience that I had recently, which is it's not good for me to have sugar things in the house because they call to me in such an intimate way that I want to be responsive, even if the responsiveness means inhaling and not tasting. And so I had decided, okay, no sugar. And then one of my nieces had left Not as good as yours, Don, wherever you are sitting. Not as good as yours, but did leave a great piece of carrot cake in the refrigerator. And I was actually thinking of yours. And it called to me, and with sheer will, no, I'm not going to get it, I'm not going to get it, I'm not going to get it. And a few hours went by, and then just before I went to bed, I could not bear it any longer and went, and what I really wanted was that cream cheese icing. I mean, just saying these words, for those of you who have tasted Don's carrot cake, is anybody salivating a bit? This is consciousness in the present moment. This is how consciousness works. Is that we think of something, we become aware of something. And so it could be a thought. And it doesn't matter if the thought is a judgment or if the thought is a kind thought. If that thought is charged with emotional energy, it will become the filter through which we speak and through which we see. And so mindfulness, the practice of consciousness, requires us to be awake. Therefore, today's charm is a sun. It's a wake-up call. And it doesn't matter how many times we have to wake up. Sometimes we wake up because either our heart feels closed, or we're clenching our teeth, or our fists are held tight, or we're raising our voice, or sometimes it's we hear this voice in our head. Who are you kidding? Who are you to talk about this? Yeah, you can't do this. That cake is there. You're just going to go and get it, so you might as well get it now. It doesn't matter which voice we're paying attention to. What matters is that what we practice grows. And this is a very familiar new thought concept. What we focus our attention on is what we experience. And one of the things that's so exciting about the world that we're living in right now is that there's been so much brain research that affirms what spiritual lessons and teachings have taught all along. There's now no separation between the art and the science. And whereas once it was thought that by kind of age 6, your brain is developed and it's pretty much downhill from there. And then when you get to be my age, it's like you're towards the bottom of the hill. But what's been discovered is that the brain has something called neuroplasticity. And what that means is the brain is plastic to thoughts that we repeat, particularly thoughts charged with emotional energy, as well as behaviors that we do over and over and over again. The challenge is, and I've done therapy and counseling and coaching for about 45 years, and I have had so many clients who I've given them a suggestion about a practice to do, and they come, so I give them one session, they come to the next session. Well, how did that practice of focusing on your breath for 5 conscious deep breaths go for you this week? Oh, well, I tried it once, it really didn't work. Yeah, exactly. You tried it once, good for you for taking that step. But that one-time practice just stays in our brain for a short period of time. So new thoughts, new behaviors, new ways of speaking require practice. And whenever we notice that we're not practicing, congratulate ourselves for noticing. So there's no losing in this. Instead of, why did I think that again? I said I was never going to think that again. Blah. And then you have a lot of energy embedded in I'm never going to think that again is think that again. If any of you are familiar with neuro-linguistic programming, it's based on the work of a psychiatrist whose name will come to me. And he was, as a child, he had polio, and so he was probably in an iron lung some of the time in bed, and he observed what was going on. And then years later, went to school, went to medical school, became a psychiatrist. Milton Erickson, thank you. It's great to have an external memory drive. Use it all. This is an example of using it all. He had amazing results with his clients who he used hypnosis with. And so the people who developed neuro-linguistic programming studied his work, what he actually said. And one of the things that came up is that, and this is not new to him, but it's that words are real things. And so when we say, have you ever had the experience you're not sure where your keys are, then you find them, but you say, I lost them. We're still focused on having lost them. Just listening to the words that come out of, holding them in my hand. Oh, I lost them. No, you found them. You have them in your hand. These simple practices, some of the women here who have been in a group that I lead for a number of years will sometimes on a call say about something they're sorry they're still doing. And I say, well, just say up until now. That changes the energy of what we're saying. And so how is it that we wake ourselves up? Well, we wake ourselves up by being in the present. Now, easy words. Well, what does it mean to be in the present? Well, I like to look at the word present. And there are three definitions that come to my mind. And one is, it's a gift, to give, to present, and now. So that every moment is a gift that we are given to also be the gift in the moment. And what's the greatest gift that we have to give? It's the gift of love. It's the gift of kindness. It's the gift of acceptance. It's the gift of acknowledging it all on the days when our light is shining bright, and on the days where not only isn't it shining, we can't even find the lamp. And so I want to read you a poem, because reading, and I am taking this from one of my books because it popped into my mind and I like it. And for me, it really captures the journey of mindfulness. Some of you may have heard this before. And what I ask you to pay attention to as I read this is, what are you focusing on? Does something in here capture your attention and your mind wanders? Well, just bring it back. It's not a bigger deal than that. Or do you start judging yourself for your mind wandering and now it's really wandered? Well, this is a autobiography. Don't worry, 5 short chapters. It's by Portia Nelson. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find my way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I've fallen again. I can't believe I am in the same place. In parentheses, I've worked on this in so many years of therapy. How did I wind up here again? In case anybody's ever had that thought. I can't believe I am in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There is a hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. So this is how it works with creating new brain pathways, with focusing with kindness on ourselves and on all those we encounter, with the understanding that at every single moment, each one of us is doing the very best we can based upon what is in our consciousness. Thank you.